In this video, we're going to be going over how to switch over from the mixed pickup tubes to the new DQ required mixed bag adapters. So with that being said, currently we have one mixed pickup tube in the bucket. We're going to be going from the one mixed pickup tube to two mixed bag adapters, which will hook up to one bag each, then going to one pump. So it will be two mixed bag adapters per side in place of the one mixed pickup tube. So to begin, we're going to take the mixed low cord off, put it at the back, take the front lid off, pull the clip that holds the mixed pickup tube in place, take it off as well, pull the mixed pickup tube out, take off the back lid, and now you can remove the bucket. So now that you have that done, we're going to go ahead and start by disassembling our hose assembly, starting with removing the tan hose out of the pump. Again, we want to make sure that we're doing this with no pressure or water on the barrel in which you're switching over. So if the unit is running, has mixed water or just pressure in general on it, you want to relieve that by either pressing the air bleed valve up top on the clear faceplate, or just doing this when the barrel is completely disassembled in the morning, which is typically standard DQ procedure. If it's not, just do this whenever you do have the barrel completely disassembled, or again, verifying there's no pressure. So to start, we're going to loosen the thumb screw on the tan tubing, removing it from this side of the hose assembly. We're going to go ahead and turn the pump on, pull backwards on the 1/2 inch clear tubing, pulling the tubing out of the pump housing itself. Once you have that fully removed, you can go ahead and turn your pump off. Now we're going to go ahead and start by disassembling the tan tubing from the 1/2 inch clear tubing. So to do so, just loosen this thumb screw, pull it off. Then you can pull your tan tubing off, loosen the 1/2 inch clamp itself, go ahead and remove that as well. Take your coupling out. Now that we have the coupling removed, this is what bridges the clear 1/2 inch tubing to the tan tubing right before it goes into the pump housing. If you were going to use the new mix out sensor, which looks like this, you no longer need this barbed coupling. If you are not going to use this mix out sensor because you have cut the back cord off and you have bypassed this cord, then you will need the coupling. If you are not going to use the coupling and you prefer to use the new mix out sensor and you have bypassed this cord, you will need to replace this cord if you've bypassed it before the mix out sensor will work. If you have not bypassed it, then just ignore that. Go ahead and discard this coupling, and instead we're going to use the mix out sensor in place of that coupling. So now that we have that, we have just the mixed pickup tube and the 1/2 inch tubing left. We're going to go ahead and disassemble this as well. Start by loosening the thumb screw on top of the pickup tube. Once it's loose, go ahead and just remove that. Okay. Take your clamp off, and then you just have a clear piece of tubing left. So now that we have the clear tubing disassembled, we're going to go ahead and disassemble the pickup tube itself. We are going to need parts off this pickup tube for later. So to start, we're going to go ahead and pop this clip off. Once this clip is off, save it for later. It will be needed. Then we're going to go ahead and take the top of the check valve off. Set this down. Now that we have the outer check valve with the arrow on it and the spring with the black rubber bonnet on top, we're going to go ahead, keep these for later. These will be used in the conversion, so we will need these. So we're just going to go ahead and save these for later, as well as these two O-rings on top of the pickup tube itself. So the way I do it, I just squeeze the O-rings, they pop off. If you have an O-ring removal tool you'd like to use, just make sure it's not sharp, pointy, or lacerated to where it would nick the O-ring, and then that would be fine to use as well. Or if you use a paper towel to help grip the O-ring and pinch it, you can use that as well. So now that we have everything disassembled off this pickup tube, we are no longer going to be using the pickup tube, so you can put this in the back room and just store it for emergency purposes or whatever you'd like to use it for, but it will no longer be used once you convert over. So now that we have the pump completely disassembled, the pickup tube and hose assembly completely apart, now we're going to go ahead and start by assembling the inline check valve. So if you take your check valve, the piece with the arrow on it, as well as the spring and black rubber bonnet on top, go ahead and drop that down into where the black piece is looking back at you inside. Then take this piece, which is a piece that is not currently on the unit. You will need this in addition to what's currently there. So this is called the inner check valve. It is where we're going to apply those 2 O-rings that came off the pickup tube. Go ahead and pop the first one on, take the second one, pop it into place, and now we have the inner check valve fully assembled. Now take some Petrogel, rub it around the O-rings just a slight amount. Take the piece with the arrow on it, which is the outer check valve, push it on top until it's fully seated. Then take the clip from earlier that we took off the pickup tube. We're just going to push it through, and then this is the inline check valve that we're going to use later. Okay, now we're going to start by assembling the mix out sensor if that is the direction you're going to go. If not, you choose to use the existing coupling, which looks like this. Then instead of using the mix out sensor, simply use the coupling if you're not going to use the mix out sensor. However, in this video we're going to cover how to use the mix out sensor, so that's what I'm going to use. And keep a note on this sensor itself, you got a big end and a smaller end. The bigger end goes to the 1/2-inch clear tubing, the smaller end goes to the tan tubing. And so we're going to start by assembling this. You're going to want to take a piece of 1/2-inch clear tubing that is 24 inches long. I have one pre-cut. What you can do is the piece that was in here, you can cut to 24 inches. But again, I have one pre-cut, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. Take a clamp, put it on top, push this down into place. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten this down good and snug. Take the tan tubing. Again, same concept. Tighten it down good and snug. Just want to make sure we don't have any leaks. That's going to A, create a mess, and B, lose air, throwing off our overrun. So again, just good and snug, nothing overbearing. And then that's the assembly. Now we're going to go ahead and assemble it. So we're going to run this through the pump. Again, if the hose has a natural curve to it, it's going to curve to the left, and we're going to always feed to the left channel. So when this gets in its final position, we're going to want these 2 prongs facing towards the cord. Just makes it for a neater assembly. Okay, once you have that into its final position, we're going to go ahead and turn it off. Then we're going to take a small 1/4-inch clamp, take this tan tubing, and put it where it always goes, on the end of the 3-way T. Tighten it down again, just good and snug. Now we're going to take the inline check valve and we're going to assemble it onto the end of the 24-inch piece of 1/2-inch tubing. So to do so, this has an arrow on it indicating which direction the mix is going to flow. So we want that arrow facing towards the pump. So we're going to take a 1/2-inch clamp, put it onto the end of this, and then just tighten it down. Once we have that done, now we're going to take another piece of tubing here. You're going to want to cut this piece roughly 3 inches long, so, or slightly under, just something in that neighborhood. Doesn't have to be exact. Then we're going to put it onto the end of the check valve as well. And again, this is for a 2-bag per side setup, so it's going to be a few more parts than just the standard 1 bag per side, but this is going to be for your higher volume capacities. Then we're going to take this Y, which is needed to be purchased in addition to what is currently in the machine, so this part is additional. We're going to take a clamp, put a clamp onto the end of the smaller piece of tubing, and then just push the end of the Y that only has one prong coming off of it into the smaller piece of tubing. And once we get it in there, we're just going to tighten it down snug. Okay, and when it's tightened down, this is what it should look like. So check valve, small piece of tubing, Y. Now we're going to take two 12-inch pieces of 1/2-inch tubing. Again, I have mine pre-cut. So we're going to take that, put it onto the end of the Y, one on each prong. Okay, then just tighten it down. Again, same thing on the opposite side. Put a clamp onto the tubing. Tighten it down, then you're good to go. Now we're going to take two of the new stainless steel mixed bag adapters, which are DQ required. We're going to take two of those, and then as well as two more 1/2-inch clamps, and we're going to put the bag adapter into the end of one of the 12-inch pieces of tubing, just making sure we push it down onto that second level on the stainless steel mixed bag adapter. Then just tighten it down as well. Then doing the same thing for the other side again. As you can see, you have a skinnier part up here, then a slightly bigger part down here, making sure we push that 1/2-inch clear tubing all the way down under that second tier. So just push it down, tighten it down, and then you're good to go. So this is what it should look like for a 2-bag per side setup. Again, starting at the top, we have the inline check valve, then a small piece of tubing, a Y fitting, and then a 12-inch 1/2-inch piece of tubing going to one mixed bag adapter, another 12-inch 1/2-inch piece of clear tubing going to the other mixed bag adapter, and then up top we have a 24-inch piece of 1/2-inch tubing leading to the mix out sensor, and then obviously just your tan tubing going to your 3-weight C, which that's been in the machine before, so that was not added. Then when you get to this part, I like to put this on this side. It just makes it a bit more organized. Put that behind the drawer, and then take your cord. If you are using the mix out sensor and it has 2 holes in the end of it, line it up with the 2 prongs coming off the mix out sensor itself, push it on, and that is the setup for a 2-bag per side DQ bag adapter setup.